Hey friends, Hattie here from Honeybee Stampers. In today's video, I'm going to actually do the video tutorial for our Sweet and Simple card class for the month of January. So each month I design 6 Sweet and Simple cards that you can recreate. I have an event here at my studio in Sumter, South Carolina, where people will come. They'll use all my product to put the cards together. But I also offer it to go, and it's only $25, and that includes shipping. And I do design the cards so that if you don't have the actual product that I've used, then you can actually use something that maybe you already have at home. That's kind of how I'm thinking when I design. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but for the most part, it does. So I've got these cards here that I've designed for the class. We've already had the class, but those of you who got the kits to go, those were shipped out to you this week, so you should start receiving them really soon. And then this is the video tutorial of me showing you how to put them together. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I've got all my bins here, and we'll start with a rather simple one. So I'm going to grab each bin, and I'm going to put the cards together and kind of explain to you how to do it. So for this first card here, I really wanted to showcase the designer series paper. This designer series paper is part of the Sale-A-Bration offering that's happening right now. And so it's free with a $50 order, and it's absolutely gorgeous. The coordinating stamp set that goes with this is back ordered right now, so I have to think of the name of it here. What was this one called? I'll pull up my my catalog, and show you in just a minute so that you can be aware. So I did use some smoky slate cardstock as the base. And then we took our DSP here, and I cut it down so that together it was going to measure 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So I believe, let me flip this grid paper over. If you're ever wondering about the grid paper, you can actually buy this on my Stampin' Up store as well if you're needing some grid paper to work on. And it also has your ability to measure. So then this strip right here is just 1 inch by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to lay this right alongside the DSP that's down already. There we go. Okay. And this is for the inside of the card. What I did was I took our circles, they're from the Stylish Shapes, and I die cut a circle out of the remaining card DSP, the top part of it. So when I cut down this DSP, there was just a little strip at the top between the two patterns that I was able to die cut this little circle. And when I put a white circle on here, it worked, but I felt like having the same kind of, if you can see that background there, having that same background on there just kind of made it tie all in together and look a lot better. So we're going to use some Starry Sky, and I've got The Best Is Yet to Come as my sentiment. And we'll stamp straight down. There we go. Put it back in there. And then I took some of our scallop circles and die cut just the size up. It's not a big border around it, but it just adds to it a little bit. And we apply that there. Okay, and now we need dimensionals, which I didn't grab. Let me grab some dimensionals here. Got some of our little mini black dimensionals that we can use. I just applied this to the seam of the card where the DSP meets. And I'm telling you, this paper is so beautiful and easy to design with, easy to work with. Everybody will even get in their kits a little tied piece of twine or linen thread. And I like to put on all of my bows in linen thread, or even my twine with our glue dots, because they just adhere so nicely. So I'm just going to tuck that right there at the bottom. Okay. adhesive on there. And then if you shake out your envelope, you're going to find some dimensionals, or not, I'm sorry, some embellishments as well. So we're going to add some of these little pearls onto the card like that. We'll put one, yeah, we'll put it right here. Okay, now for the inside of the card, I did have a little stamp available. This is one of the images out of the stamp set. So there's a coordinating bundle that pairs really well with this designer series paper. Maybe I'll add just a couple more. I don't know how that'll look, but there. And we'll stick that on the inside of the card. And this card is complete. So you can see how fast and easy that was to put together. Okay, let me grab my catalog so I can find this product in case you were wondering. I know it's called Dainty Flowers, and I should have flagged it. There it is. Okay, so on page 55 of the catalog, you'll find the Dainty Delight bundle. So this is the stamp set that I used, and then these are the dies down here, and they coordinate with the Dainty Flowers, which is the celebration paper. Now, this bundle right here, oops, sorry, this bundle right here is back ordered until I think March or April. But don't fret, it will come back in, but don't miss out on the paper. This paper is available for free until the end of February. The paper is gorgeous. Okay, so there's our first card. Okay, let's do another Sweet and Simple card here. Here is our next card. I think the general consensus is that people like to see the cards before we actually design it. It gives them a point of reference, right? So you'll get a little card kit that looks like this. And don't forget, there's going to be embellishments in there too. So make sure you watch out for those. And we're just going to use, this is Blackberry Bliss cardstock, which is so rich and beautiful. We've got an inside piece. Let's go ahead and stamp this. We'll start with the sentiment. I do like to stamp the sentiment first so I can make sure that I leave enough room for it. And this stamp set is from the Fragrant Flowers. I'll pull that up out of the catalog and show you. But what I'm going to do, I want to stamp on a little mat. Whenever you're using photopolymer, you definitely want to use a little foam mat underneath it to get a good impression. So I'm going to ink this up in our basic gray and just stamp hello at the top here. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to stamp friend. So this particular stamp set actually comes with hello friend and hello, you could put hello love if you wanted to. So it's photopolymer, I can see right through it. So I just want to stamp friend right underneath it. I just love how that pairs together so well. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to, if I can close this. Ooh, sometimes it's stiff. We're going to grab our Blackberry Bliss ink, which coordinates with the paper here. I'm going to slide this underneath my mat because I want to stamp off of the paper. And we're going to take this really large stamp that looks like this. It's all dyed because of the dark ink, but don't worry, it still works. So when there's a stamp that's a little bit larger than the ink pad, I like to ink up like this. If the stamp was smaller than the ink pad, I like to ink this way. I don't know, it just gives me more control. So now what we're going to do is take this flower and I'm going to, I want some of it off of the page and some of it on. There we go. Nice even pressure. Okay. And there's that. It's a little different than the original, but that's okay. That's what makes it look great. And then we'll ink it up again. And I would like, let's see here. How do I want to do this? I'll stamp like this. This gives it a lot of white space as compared to the first one, but that's okay. We'll stamp right there. Okay. So I wanted it to kind of come together, but almost like it's cascading down. And I'm good with that. All right, so we'll close this ink pad up. Oh, actually, no. I want to stamp on the inside too. I want the inside to kind of coordinate and match. You'll see when you get this kit in the mail that the smaller piece is the one that you're going to stamp on for the front. And then this is the larger piece here. This smaller piece measures about 4.5 by 3 1/4. That's what it looks like, okay? And then the matting is just 1/4 inch more. Let's ink this up, and I just want to maybe do a little flower down here. And why not? Let's do a little flower at the top too. Okay, there we go. That away. Now with these darker pigmented inks like the Blackberry Bliss, it does take just a smudge longer for the ink to absorb into our paper than our traditional colors. So be careful because smudging is a possibility. There's my paper over here. Just want a clean spot that I can add some adhesive to the back. And we'll put this on this layer. Oh, you can see that I've already got a little bit of a smudge on it, but that's okay. I'll just ignore it. Oh, guys, look, I've got smudging on my fingers that happened. Okay, so there's that. I warned you, so don't let that happen to yours. And then we're going to add this designer series paper. This is also free paper, part of Sale-A-Bration. And I should have stamped my flower up a little bit higher if I was going to add this, but I wanted to add this designer series paper because it's so pretty and it's free and I have a lot of it right there to tie in with the card. And let's put that all together. So this will go on the inside of the card. I need to kind of keep glancing up at my camera to make sure I'm in the camera view. There. I tell you, this ink is strong. Okay, and then we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. Pop all of these off. They're wanting to stick to my fingers. One of my friends showed me that you can take this little tool. I haven't bought one yet, but I need to. And kind of if you've got you've made a little mistake on your card, like you see here. Now I've got all these little splotches, yikes. You could scrape it. It's almost like a pumice stone type thing, and it scrapes off that top layer. I'm going to try to hide some of it with these gems here. So I'll put one right over there, like that. I love these gems. They're from the Essentials collection. I think they're called Essentials. I'm gonna stick one right there too. Okay, I don't love where they're placed, but they're hiding my mistakes there, so that works. So there's that card. I'm gonna set this card to the side, and we'll move on to our third card. For our next card, we're going to do a Valentine. I'm going to flip this over like that. Okay, so is this not fun, this Pacific Point with some sweet sorbet? I just think these colors went so well together. If you've been watching my happy hour with Honeybee Stampers that I do on Wednesdays, and I do upload them to my YouTube channel as well, you will see that I used this stitched, I think it's called stitched greenery, and I just can't stop using it. I love how beautiful that is. Oh, before I move on to this, let me tell you about that last card. I mentioned let's see here. There it is. So on page 21 of the mini catalog, remember we're working out of this catalog primarily. This is the Fragrant Flowers stamp set that went with that card that I created. So here's the card here. And so you see I use that stamp, and here are the sentiments, and I've got some great dies that go along with this as well. And there's great paper, the paper that coordinates with this, that's free with Sale-A-Bration, just like with Dainty Flowers, is this one right here. It's called Favored Flowers. And you guys, it's so stunning and beautiful. Make sure you check out my other video where I showed that so you can see some more samples. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out to you. Okay, back to this card. So this is a Valentine. And here's our Happy Valentine's Day. Very simple card here. I found, I'm going to use just a tape runner on this right now, but I found that with this stitched greenery, I think that's what it's called, that die, all those little holes, for some reason, they don't allow this tape runner to hold it as well as if I were to use liquid glue. So you might want to use liquid glue on that layer just to keep it nice and in place. Otherwise, it does come up. See how it kind of comes up really easily? But I'm just going to do it like that for now. And actually, I'm glad I did that because I forgot to put the bow. So we're going to do a little bit of a faux bow here. See how easily that came up, you guys? So do some liquid glue. But we'll do a faux bow here where I'm going to stick some of this ribbon right across here. Okay. Like that. And then let me see if I can get some liquid glue out of this so that I can make sure that this is secure. Get some of that glue on there. Need to get another bottle. Okay. Now we can come back to the card base. And there we go. Okay, this is going to go on the inside, so I'm just going to set that to the side there. Come back in my screen. This designer series paper right here is from a new suite of products, and I will show you that in just a second in the catalog. And that is where the stamp sets came from as well. We'll put those on there. Isn't that so sweet? Let's go ahead and we can stick this on now. You guys will have to tell me if you like the mini mini dimensionals better, or do you like the regular dimensionals? I think I like working with the regular ones a little bit better, unless it's a little tiny and accent piece that I wanted to put on, but I really like the larger ones. Okay, so then we took a circle scallop. So you guys can see you're going to get all of these pieces here. And say, for instance, you don't have this stamp set that I've used, you can use something else that you have. You might have a heart or a flower that you can put in its place. So we're going to stamp. This is two-step stamping, but the stamping is like side by side. I got asked a lot in class, you know, is it better to stamp one before the other? And honestly, when I'm stamping like layer on top of layer, I find that stamping the detail first is easier for me. But when you're stamping side by side like this, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. So we're just going to stamp this beautiful array of hearts and flowers in our sweet sorbet. Isn't that pretty? And it's also distinctive. You can see that in the detail. Now we're going to take our Pacific point. We're going to stamp this next step. And you'll see this kind of fills in the empty spots to form that flower. And so what I do, because it's photopolymer, I just hover over it until it looks like I've got it. Oh shoot, I think I touched down before I was ready. I did. Okay, so you'll see that little smudge down there. We'll just ignore it. And then we're going to take this Happy Valentine's Day that's from that. And let me tell you what I did with this. So this die right here is from the, oh gosh, it just flew out of my head, but it's the Stylish Shapes dies. And it wasn't long enough to fit the Happy Valentine's Day. So what I did was I die cut, like I cut the paper down to what I needed it to be. So I want to say that this paper is about 3, yeah. So I cut the strip of paper to about 3 inches, and then I took the die and I put it all the way on one end of the paper and die cut half of it, and made sure that this half didn't get die cut. And then I took it out and I lined it up as best I could, and I die cut starting at the other end of the paper. If that's confusing to you and you want to see how I did that to make it longer and fit, let me know. I can do a video on that. But I did do that ahead of time for all of my customers that came to just make their lives easier. And I also did that for the kits that went to go in the mail. So once I've done that, now I've got the perfect sentiment length for that die cut. Okay, well, again, this scallop circle die is just so tiny. It just gives just the smallest bit of color behind that circle. And I can't remember if okay. So I popped this one up as well. I hope you guys are enjoying these little sweet and simple card classes. I am doing a huge craft show in February, so this month. So I won't be hosting my sweet and simple card class in person because I just couldn't find a weekend to fit it in. But I do plan to try to design some cards to share with you guys online so that I can continue to inspire you sweet and simple cards each month. So here's this. And we'll just get that across the heart here like so. And then I did tie these little bows for you, right? We had them tied. And then these are gonna go on with, like I said before, glue dots. Glue dots are like your best friend. They will help you so much with putting your little bows on. So we're gonna stick this bow right there. So this is a little faux bow here. And if I had a pair of scissors, I'd trim it down a little bit. Yeah. Just going to trim this down so it matches a little better. There. There we go. So there's that. And then you're going to have some sweet little gems. I love these heart gems. We used this at our last stamp camp as a early bird special. I'm going to put some here. Put this big one down here. And they had like different, I think 3 different finishes. One was just an opaque white, and one was like this pearl. Let's do, I don't know, let's do one right here. Okay, one was kind of like a pearlescent, which is what this looks like. And I just think that they were so pretty. So there's that card. Let me show you where you can find this in the catalog as well. Pretty early into the catalog, you will see a suite of products called Country Floral Lane, and it's on page 8 and on page 9. And then there's more on this page. This is the stamp set that I used here. You guys can see that. Those are the 2-step stamping that we use in the Happy Valentine's Day. So many cute things you can do. This punch is currently sold out, but you can get the designer series paper. This is the paper that I used. You can use the stamp set and still create some really pretty things. So I love the stamp set. Look at these sentiments. I love that we are friends. I just wanted to say, and so on the inside of the card, I should have grabbed some of these other stamps. I probably on the inside would have stamped like this heart, or even that heart, or even that little bundle of flowers to decorate it even more. So there's that. Again, like I said, if you didn't have the stamp set, you could use something that you already had. So that's the beauty of getting the Sweet and Simple card class to go. Okay. Here's our next card that we're going to do. Some more 2-step stamping. I've actually shared this card during one of my happy hours. Okay, this beautiful color here. This is Pale Papaya. It's one of our in colors. And makes a beautiful card, especially when you pair it with a black, kind of like a striking combination there. So this designer series paper here is from a pack that I have the cardstock or the DSP, but I don't have the stamp set. I'm kind of not sold on the stamp set yet. So I just got the paper because my favorite is designer series paper. So you're just going to place this on the card front with just a little bit of a border there on the side. Okay. And then we are going to take, you're going to have a stitched edged piece. This is going to go for your front, and then this is going on the inside of the card. Right. And this is from our Stitched Rectangles dies, if you're wondering where that came from. Keep the card in there for reference. Okay, so what we're going to do is stamp the outline of our flower. We're going to need to use some Memento black or any kind of black that you have for this. And it's easier if the stamp is larger than the ink pad for me to do it this way. So we'll just ink it up. And we will stamp right in the center there. Nice firm pressure, and you'll see that I'm using a matte again, since it's a photopolymer stamp set. And then this is fun two-step stamping, so we're going to use some soft succulent to color in the flowers, or the leaves. So here's our first image. Again, another distinctive stamp. And what I like to do is just hover over until it looks like I've kind of pretty much got it lined up where I want it, and then apply pressure. There we go. And then we can do that with the top as well. This stamp set is called Beautifully Happy, and it is part of our Sale-A-Bration collection, and it's free with a $100 order. Let's see, I don't have that quite lined up the way I want to, but that's good enough. It kind of has like a watercolor look to it, so even if you went outside the lines, it would still look good. We're going to take our Pale Papaya and color in our flowers. I did showcase this as part of my weekly Facebook Live called Happy Hour. You can find the replay on YouTube, or you can find it on my Facebook business page. Let me line this up. It's like I can't line up two-step stamping and talk at the same time. Anyways, you can find the replay, but I show you this same flower, but in different color combinations that look really great. So there's that. And then we're just going to, what I did is I took the stitch rectangle that I felt like fit the flower the best, and then I just cut a layer of soft succulent cardstock that was about 1/4 of an inch more, so that it had a nice kind of like backing to it, or matte to it. So it's just like that. We're going to apply this to the card, and let's see, it looks like I popped that original one up, so let's copy that. And I already stamped the sentiment for you ahead of time because I want to show you how I applied the ribbon. Because when you get this kit in the mail, when I do these Sweet and Simples to go, I do the video tutorial. So I don't do a written tutorial like I usually do for classes that are through the mail, but I do a video tutorial like this one. And so I can explain to you how to put it together. But I think most of you guys know how to heat emboss. I just heat emboss this sentiment, a birthday sentiment here. But when you get your card kit, you're going to get these 2 pieces of ribbon here. So this one's already tied, but you're going to untie it for this. You're going to take and weave through the little hole of your tag. Hopefully I can get that through here. Okay. You're gonna weave that through, okay, and kind of pull it so that they're even right there. And then you're gonna take this black twine that I send you, untie it, and you're just going to wrap it around and tie a knot. So let me see if I can do this. Okay, there we go. So you're gonna tie and pull the knot. You might need to finagle it a little bit. Another thing that might help is if you actually glued the sentiment down, that could help hold it in place for you. Okay, there we go. So you see how I've tied that little ribbon around it, like so. Okay, and then you're gonna make a little bow. And secure that knot with this bow, I hope. You guys, I swear, whenever I do videos and I'm trying to show you how to tie bows, because I tie bows all day long, I can do it with my eyes closed almost. But once I get on video, I cannot for the life of me get it to work. Okay, there. Whew. Okay, so if that was too cumbersome for you, then just tie 2 knots. Okay, there we go. And then what you can do at the end is just make it pretty. So I'm just gonna cut like that and like that. And if you have ribbon cutting scissors, that's even better. And we'll stick that on with some dimensionals and this card will be done. Well, minus the embellishments. Okay. My friend Franny told me that she thinks this is morning glory. I have no idea about plants, so I'm just going to believe that that's what this is. She's a smart cookie. So there's that. Okay, so it's pretty, right? But then these little gems here, they make all the difference. Let's grab a couple of them. I'm going to put one, even though there is a stamp that goes right in the center of that you can use, I'm going to use one of our embellishments here. And I'll just do this for right now. Okay. Definitely check your envelopes to make sure all of your embellishments are in there. I must have dropped them, the rest of them. But there's that card. Isn't that pretty? I love, love, love this stamp set. So let me show you where you can find this. This stamp set is located in the Sale-A-Bration brochure that looks like this. And it is towards the back. It's this one right here, Beautifully Happy. So you can get this stamp set for free if you spend $100. And look at these other beautiful samples and make sure you check out that video that I did featuring this stamp set. Oh, decorate the inside, of course, and that goes on the inside of the card. Okay, let's see, how many cards was that? That was, we've done 4 cards. We've got 2 more to go, 2 more to go. So this card right here, okay, this one also features Sale-A-Bration paper, Sale-A-Bration stamp set. And it's a rather simple card, and I really like how it turned out. But I'm going to show you how I did it. So for this one, we are going to do the technique where you actually stamp using our regular ink, and then you go and you heat emboss it right away. I hope that there's enough ink, because we did use this for class, and I didn't check to see if this was inked up enough. But let me get all the pieces out. So you're going to have 2 pieces of your Very Vanilla. Make sure that you use the smaller Very Vanilla piece for the front of the card. So we're going to take this, and the reason I use the Stamparatus is because I want a couple layers of ink on here so that I can shimmy and shake it through the clear embossing powder to go over and heat emboss it. So I want it to be nice and juicy. Oh boy, it looks like this is kind of dry. We'll see if this works. Okay, so let's ink this up. Oh, let me put my magnet. This will help me keep it in place so it doesn't move on me. So ink it up with your soft suede, and then I'm going to stamp down. Okay. Oh yeah, it's not very juicy at all. I might have to re-ink it. We'll see. Okay, I'll keep going. So we're going to ink it up again, and then we're going to stamp down, and then we need to ink it up again. I told them about 3 times was good, but for me, I think I'm going to have to do 4. Okay, so you're just layering this ink on top of each other, and I'm hoping, stand down. Okay, I'm going to very quickly remove that and stick it into my clear embossing powder. And my hopes is that it's going to only stick to the stamped image. Kind of looks like that's what's happening. So let me just tap off the excess. Okay, and it did. So you probably can't see it on the video here, but the stamped image looks a little bit frosty to me, and that's because the heat embossing powder has stuck to it, just the image. Let me close this up, and I'm just going to step off camera for a second and heat this up. And I'll tell you why we do this. Okay, so now I've heat embossed it. You probably can't tell, but it's got a little bit of a shine to it where the heat embossing is, and you can, and it also has a rough texture to it. So I'm going to let that kind of cool off for just a second. The reason that we heat emboss with the clear embossing powder is because we're going to use some watercolor pencils, and we are going to use a blender pen, and I don't want the ink to bleed. So when you use a blender pen or watercolor pencils, you want to use an ink that's something like a StazOn ink to make it so that it doesn't bleed, right? And so that's why I heat emboss it, to set the image so that I can color all over it, and then the color shouldn't bleed. So I will tell you that when you get your kit, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. I've already used the diorama dies and cut them out. And I even did a little bit of scoring using my scoring tool here to just give it a little more dimension, just to kind of add to it. So we're going to take one of the stamps. This stamp, I'm forgetting right now where that's from, but you could probably find a splatter stamp anywhere, or you can use your marker and splatter with it. But I just felt like when I was making this card, it needed a little something. So we're going to add a splatter here and some up here. Come off the page a little. Definitely going to have to make a note to re-ink this ink pad. It's a little dry. Okay, so there's that. Okay, we're going to set that. Well, actually, let's go ahead and add this. So this right here is just me taking 2 of the diorama dies and layering them next to each other, and then die cutting them out so that they make this little border here, or frame, I should say. And we're going to use some liquid adhesive because it's the most forgiving initially. You can move it around a bit. I'll just go around there. Okay, and we'll kind of lay it over and try to match it up as best as we can. There. Okay, press that down. I just loved adding that little frame touch to the card. Okay, now let's bring this back in. We're going to take some colored pencils. And actually, I'm going to stamp the sentiment. I used a sentiment from another Sale-A-Bration stamp set, and let me see if the ink is, oh, yeah, I'm going to have to ink that up. But you guys get it. So I would stamp the sentiment here, but I need to ink this up a little bit more so it looks better. So I'll do that later. So let's go ahead and color. So I took one of the, it's the early espresso, and let me show you the before and after kind of. So here is the stamped image by itself, and then here it is with some color. You can even see right here with the fence that there's a little bit more color on the fence than the stamp allows. So I'm just going to take this early espresso and color that in. You can hear it, right? The embossed image is a little bit rough. And just add some brown through there. And then I had taken 2 greens. I've got a garden green and old olive. I went in the background here with these, oops, kind of colored outside of there. And I added some garden green over in the background here. Okay, just like that. And I took the old olive and I just colored added some color. You can even like just color like this if you wanted to, like a regular colored pencil, right? So that's just adding color to the image. Some in the middle there, some of back here. And then when you take the blender pen, what this does is it allows you to kind of melt that color so you can kind of see the difference there. I'm coloring and melting that that watercolor pencil, the markings, and softening it up a little bit and just filling it in. I just think it gives just such a pretty soft look to your project. It's definitely a lot softer than if you were to go in and use our Stampin' Write markers. Now, if you're using a blender pen and you want to switch the color, you can just kind of wipe it off on some paper. You recommend paper and not paper towel. Paper towel will suck up all of the elements inside of it here, which is like a glycerin is what's inside. And then I'm just going to color like this and pick up some of that green. I think I've still got a little brown on there, just like that. And then I'll come over and do the same with that garden green that was back here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I would keep coloring that so that it looks more like this. Now to color in the sky, I grabbed some balmy blue and a balmy blue ink pad, and then just a blender brush. Now we now have smaller blender brushes. If you haven't seen that, it's pretty cute. And you just tap on the ink pad like so. And you always want to start by tapping off so that you don't have this like big blotch of blue. And then you're going to come in and add a little blue to the top, and you can come right down onto the trees and it's no problem. It won't overpower it or anything like that. Okay. You can make it the sky a lot darker if you wanted to, so that's what it's going to look like. Then what you do is you just layer this onto the card front. I did it flat onto the card front like this. I'm not going to do the whole thing right now because I do want to stamp that sentiment still. And then I put some dimensionals on this layer so that it's kind of like a shadow box look. And then we embellished it with these fun, like antique looking brads or embellishments. And there's the card. Isn't that cute? So let me show you where this product is. This is free with a $50 order. So I took the sentiment right from here. This is the Sending Support stamp set. And if you spent $50, you can get this for free. And it's got some great sentiments on here. So you've got a good luck. It's okay not to feel okay. You've got this. My shoulder is yours. Courage is being really scared and doing it anyway. So aren't those really unique sentiments, right? So those are just those here. And then this is the one I used on this card. Some days are harder than others. And some days that's just the case. So there's more great sentiments there as well. But I wanted to feature that stamp set and I wanted to use this. Oh, here's where the image came from. So In the Country is the free stamp set with a $50 order, and you would get these two images right here, and then you can see that they've created some cards featuring that as well. I haven't designed anything with this, but that just reminds me of Europe or Italy or somewhere over there, or Tuscany, and I don't know, I just love it. I think it's pretty. So, and it's fun to color. Look how pretty that turned out, right? I love the blue sky in there too. Okay, so there's that card. Now we've got one more card to do and we're done. So here is our final card. Move some of this stuff out of the way. This is a sweet little fun fold using the Adorable Owls stamp set. Again, another free stamp set with Sale-A-Bration. So let me bring in my pieces for this card. This paper right here is also free. It's free with a $100 order. It's called Dandy Designs Designer Series paper. And for this, what I used was a piece of balmy blue, and it's just 1/4 of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. And then I took this. This is, I believe, a 12. Let me just look really quick. This is 12 inches. Yep. So it's 12 inches. This paper comes 12 by 12. It's 12 inches, and then it's cut down to 5 1/4. And then what I did was I scored it at 4 inches. Okay. So I scored it here at 4 inches, and then I scored it at 8 inches. So if you fold it back over this way, that's what you get. And then again, I scored it here at 11 inches. So then we'll just fold it back over this way. So it's kind of like an accordion fold almost. So let me tell you that again. So this is going to be a 12 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of Designer Series paper, and I scored it at 4 inches, 8 inches, and then 11. There we go. And I wanted a piece, I was gonna say, I don't see it. Okay, I grabbed a piece of this paper here. This is, I'm trying to think, is this Coastal Cabana? I think it is. And I just wanted to make this edge a little bit sturdier. So I'm gonna add some adhesive right there. And then we're gonna take this piece, I don't know why that's so wonky. And we're going to just kind of line it up so just a little bit of it is showing. There. Okay. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead and take this piece here and put it right on our card base. So our card base is not the typical fold in half. It's just the 1/4 of an inch. There we go. Now before we seal this down, I did give you a piece of this white seam binding ribbon. You're going to stick it on the inside there, tie a bow. Here we go, and again with another bow. I'm actually just going to tie a knot to save some time. So I like to put my bone folder in there to kind of put some weight on that knot, that first one. And then I tie it taut like this, and then I start to push the bone folder out. There we go. Now I can maneuver this ribbon around. You just slide it over. Okay, now let's add some adhesive along the side here, and we will seal that into place. There. Okay. Maybe I'll try to tie a bow on that later. All right, then you're going to get 2 little pieces of squares. This is also from the Stylish Shapes. And we've got a little owl. Where's my owl? I put him away. I used him recently for our last weekly card class. So let's put this cutie back on a block, and then we're going to ink him up with Memento Black because we're going to use Stampin' Blends to color him. And a Stampin' Right marker. So I'm going to stamp this cute little owl right there. Okay. And then we're going to stamp the sentiment. Hoot, hoot, you're so cute. right underneath it. This card really, let me see how this stamps, if it's straight on the block or not. Pretty much. Okay. This card really reminds me of like a baby card. So you could use something that you already have again to, instead of this owl, if you wanted to. And on the inside of the card, you could stamp something on here. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the inside of the card because this is where you'll write, right here. Just center that. This designer series paper made it like perfect because it has like this little tiny border that goes around there. It makes it perfect. Close that up. All right, now let's get our Stampin' Blends out. So we don't have a Stampin' Blends, or at least I don't have one, that is in this color, which is the Coastal Cabana. And is that what this is? Let me see. Yep, Coastal Cabana. And I wanted his little bow tie to be Coastal Cabana. So I just grabbed our Stampin' Right marker and colored that. Now the difference with our Coastal Cabana and our Stampin' Blends is that these don't blend as beautifully, but if it's a really small image like that, I think it works just fine. And then I took some Balmy Blue and I colored his little eyes, and this is going to kind of pick up some of the color from the designer series paper. There. Isn't that cute? Okay, and then let's see here. I don't even remember which colors I used for him, so let's play around with this. Well, let's start with adding some Pale Papaya. The Pale Papaya I did for his little feet. And the insides of his ears. And then also for his cute little beak, his little nose. And then for the owl itself, let's see, what color is this? This is a dark crumb cake. Do we want to use that? No, that's too dark. Let's go with the light crumb cake. Oh, the tip of that's really used up. I think I need to get some new ones. Okay, so light crumb cake, and then what is this one? This one's light crumb cake as well. That one works a little better. So we've got this color, and then let's see, this is ivory. Let's see if this is the other color we want to use. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to do the ivory on the outside. It looks like on my sample I used it on the inside. Sometimes if your tip of your marker, that's kind of like the brush tip, is starting to dry out, probably because it was used so much this weekend or last weekend in class, then you want to, you can use the bullet tip. And I mean, you can just color all wild on here with these Stampin' Blends, and they just come out so cute. We'll color his wings this color as well. So what I do is I color it all in, and then I'll go back over it, and I'll line just like certain areas of it to make it look like there was some shadowing effect going on. Okay. Hope you guys can bear with me. Oops, I went outside the line. Now you know we have the Stampin' Right markers that if you make a mistake. So what I would do then now is I would go back around like the edges like that, and maybe just the top of the wings, and it will give it the effect of shading. Okay, let's do a little bit around his eyes. Maybe the top of his ears. There. So I don't know if you can see that difference there or not, but there's just a little bit more shading on there. Makes it look, I don't know, more complete. So like I said, we've got the, let me see if I can grab one. Oh, I don't know where one is at right now. Oh, here it is. So we've got this. This is the color lifter. You definitely want this in your arsenal. So when you make a mistake, so I made this little tiny mistake down here, I would just color over it with the color lifter. It will kind of do its work. I let it dry. If it's still showing, then I will go back in and color it some more. So let's color the inside of him with this light crumb cake. There's not much of a difference between the two colors here. I think there's enough of a difference though. Okay, let's color around his eyes. Oh gosh, I'm getting sloppy. And there we go. And I'll really be able to show you the color lifter again since I've been making these little mistakes. Okay, there's that. Now let's get our color lifter and see how I went inside the eyes. So I'm gonna just try to lift that color out of there. And then the one that was by his body, let me just add a little bit more. It's gonna kind of evaporate and lighten up. And then you go back in and you do it again and you do it again and you do it again until the color has lifted. Okay, so there's that. Let's add a little bit of shading here with this guy. So we'll do some down here. I don't know if you can tell there, that's making it a little bit darker. Then maybe right around here. And some down on the bottom, on the belly. There. Okay, there is our cute little owl. He's so cute. Okay, and then we're gonna put him, oh, I actually popped him up with dimensionals on the original card, but we'll just put him directly on like that. And then we'll use dimensionals to put him on the card front. Let me make sure I don't mess up. Okay, so you don't want dimensionals on this side of the square. So you can put dimensionals here, and then what I like to do is like put a dimensional like right there, so I know that I'm not going to go too far over. And then the mechanism that is the fun fold won't work. So we'll just stick them right here on our card, and that card is almost done. We've got some fun gems here. Oopsie. Let's see if we can get some of these off of here. All right, we'll just do one right there. And then one right there. Okay, I'll tie that little bow at the bottom later, but here's the card. I hope you guys like that. Sweet and Simple card class for January. Let me bring all the cards back in so you can get a look at them again. The month of February, we're not going to be having a Sweet and Simple, but the month of March we do, and I will share details for registration. It's $25. Come in person here to Honeybee Stampers headquarters in Sumter, South Carolina, or, you know, get your kit to go. Let's see, where's the other card? I always am missing one card. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm missing 2 cards. Here we are. No, that's not it. Is that not a shame, you guys? Like, can you just assume that my desk is like really messy right now? I'm missing 2 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a shame. I don't know where the other cards are. Oh, okay. Well, if you guys were here with me, then you saw the cards and you know what I was working with. Anyways, I will share some pictures online as well. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I will see you at our next Sweet and Simple card class tutorial. All right, have a great night. Bye-bye.